Record, and we are on. Okay, drop it in the chat or just like do the little hand raise if y'all have ever felt like, man, I want to grow. I'm so passionate about this, but I don't know who I'm talking to. Like, I just want to talk to the masses. I want everybody to join my team because I know how good this is and everybody needs it, right? Every single person, I've never met anybody that does not have a microbiome and that doesn't need what we have, right? I truly, truly feel that way. Are there lots of other opportunities? Yes. Will I ever bash any other opportunities? No. But we have something that's different, right? And sometimes when we're posting and we're like, man, like you've asked me about this, why aren't you ordering? I want to show you guys. And the first time that I heard this as a two, I was kind of like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I don't want to narrow it down and leave anybody out. But I will tell you that this works. And so I really want you guys to be open-minded about this and to dive into who your ideal client is. And I know that even in saying that, some people are like, wait, what? Like, I don't want to think about ideal clients. I'm not a salesperson, all the things, right? Well, at the end of the day, we are. Like, we're shares people, we share things that we love, but we're also selling people hopes and dreams. And that's how I love to look at this. It's not just a probiotic. It's not just like a pink drink that we mix up in the morning and drink, right? It's something that's helping people get their lives back. I look at your names on here and I know that this is helping you get your lives back, right? That's never something to be ashamed of or to not want to dive into because you get to offer that back to people. And so, what I really want you guys to spend some time, and you're not going to have this ironed out in just this short time that we're going to talk about this, but I really want you to sit down and I want you to think about it because when we are just, how many of us have gotten to the end of the day and we're like, oh, I didn't put up a post today. So I'm just going to hurry up and I'm going to scramble and get something on there. And we just put up a post that we haven't really thought about. We don't really know who we're posting to, and we just post a post. We've all done it, right? Like I've done it before. I'm not canceling anybody out or singling anybody out. I 1000% have done that. Or we get to the end of the day and we're like, dang it, didn't post again today. And now I'm not going to because I'm already so far behind. And then the next morning we wake up and we have no idea who we're talking to. Or we just, good morning, Michelle. Or we just end up posting all this stuff. Like I'll see something that Debbie posts and I love it. So I repost it. And then I see something that Danielle posts and I love it. So I repost it. And it's like a constant news feed of just Plexus. Anybody else felt like that before? And it's the same thing again. It's like when people go to our social media feed, instead of feeling like they walk into a boutique, you guys know that I love shopping, I love like do it yourself stuff. Instead of feeling like I'm walking into a boutique that's just for me, I feel like I'm walking into a yard sale that has no rhyme or reason and it's just a bunch of stuff, right? And I'm just hoping that maybe I'll find my treasure. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, I want somebody to go to your news feed. When I go to Michelle's news feed, I know that she is passionate about her daughter and sports, and I know that she loves working out, and I know that she's going to share the tips, and I know that she loves Plexus, right? I can go to her news feed and I can pick out certain things. That's what we want for every single person because when we are posting just to post, it is like raking leaves in the wind in the middle of a tornado and just hoping that maybe at the end of it, we'll have a little pile left over. I want y'all to know why you're doing this and who you're reaching out to. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that might really, I'm hoping, and I want you to drop this in the comments if this is something that you feel uncomfortable with, because that means growth, right? But also, if you have questions about this, I want you to unmute. Because when you start posting to one person, you're not leaving out all of the other people, but you're attracting people that are like you, because most of the time, your ideal client, your social media avatar, is yourself as your best self. Have any of y'all been in a conversation with people, whether it's plexus related or not, and it's like, hey, how you doing? And then it's like, yeah, I'm good. How's life? Oh, it's good. How are the kids? They're great. And then after that, it's like, wah, 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 wah. Like you have nothing else to talk about, right? They're not your people. Not that you don't love on them, not that you can't have a conversation with them, but it's like, we don't have a ton in common. What else are we going to talk about now? And then you move into plexus, and guess what ends up happening? Every single message is like, oh, how are your products? Did you poop yet today? Did you get your water in? And then after that, it's like, what else do we talk about? I want you attracting people that you would do life with. That's what this is about at the end of the day. The people that you can talk to about things. Now, look at the people that are on this screen. I do life with y'all every single day. That doesn't mean that every single thing that we have is in common. You're still going to attract people that aren't exactly like you. I want to pull up the chat really quick before I pull this in so I can make sure. Yes, frequency absolutely plays a part in that. I love that. Okay, here we go. If y'all have a pen or a paper, I want you to jot some of these things down. I will share this in our chat afterwards in our April accountability chat. But I really want this to be thought-provoking to you guys as you get going with this and really dive into it with who your ideal client is. Can you guys see this? Michelle, I can see your face still. Can you see that little picture there with your ideal client? So it just says your ideal client at the top and then it has a picture. Can anybody see that? If you're on your phone, okay. I want you guys to get really specific about this. So my ideal client, my avatar, I've named Amy. I want you to get really specific. What's their gender, right? For me, it's a woman because that's who I relate to the most. Seems kind of silly, but for some people and for men, when you do this with them, it might not be a woman, right? They might be reaching out to men. We have Jules in the company. Their avatar as a guy, completely different. Like Rob Heffley, a lot of you guys know him. His avatar, completely different than mine, right? I want you to get really specific about this. How old are they? My ideal client, Amy, is between 35 and 45 years old. Do I want to identify yet between 35 and 45 years? No, because I still want to think I'm 29. Guess what? I'm not. So if I'm only ever reaching out to somebody that's 20 years old, guess what? I'm not going to relate to them, right? Lauren Thomas, youngest jewel in the company, one of them right now, her ideal client, completely different than mine. She's still dressing in like really bright pinks and sparkles. It works for her. If I started doing that and marketing myself with like glitter and sparkles and sequins and all, people would be like, Brie, what are you doing? Because that's not me, right? So how old is your client? Do they have children? My ideal client has children because guess what? I can relate to them. What do they do for a living? Do they have a job? Do they stay at home? What is their yearly salary? This is something that's uncomfortable for some of us to think about. It was uncomfortable for me to think about at first too, but what is their ideal salary? How many of us, if we look back through our posts, are constantly marketing to the sick and tired? I was all the time. And trying to convince people that they could spend money on supplements. I want somebody that wants the investment in this. Now, does that mean again that I'm singling people out? No. But I want people that want the health and the opportunity. Where do they live? My ideal client, Amy, she lives in the suburbs because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to country life, right? So I want you to really narrow it down. Like, I want you to paint the picture in your head of what this person looks like. It will be different for every single one of us. What are their pain points? This is something that's really important, because when you're posting to people, like, I don't have a huge weight loss testimony, right? So when I'm posting things, that does not mean that I can't throw in a testimony with somebody that has lost a lot of weight. But for me, people with my pain points, my Amy, my ideal client, is somebody that was missing out on moments with their family. That's a huge pain point. That gets to the end of the month and they don't have enough money to do all the things that they want to do. That's a pain point. When I'm posting, I'm talking about those things. Talking about the business opportunity. What are the things that you can do now? Going to the grocery store and not having to worry about getting the things that you want to get. That was a pain point. Not being able to have time freedom because I had to worry about driving 2.5 hours to the doctor. That was a pain point. What are the things that you want your ideal client to be free from? What are the symptoms with their health and with their finances? And that ties right into what solution are they looking for? At the end of the day, when they lay down their head at night, and a lot of times it was like this for me, right? My ideal client is the things that I have been able to overcome because I can talk to them about that. When they lay down their head at the end of the night, what are they thinking about? What are they stressed about? And how can you post to show them that you're going to be able to help them? Because that's ultimately why people make this decision, right? They end up joining Plexus, they end up ordering Plexus because they want something out of their days. What is that for your ideal person? What are they passionate about? What are you passionate about? If y'all go to my news feed, you know I love do-it-yourself projects. I love finding things cheaper, right? That's something that I'm super passionate about. And people can come to me and they can ask those things. I use this example all the time. Chels, she is super passionate about working out and fitness and biking. That's not the only thing that she's passionate about. But guess what? If somebody were looking for those things, would they come to me? No, they would go to her, right? That doesn't make us bad different. That makes us good different. Our ideal clients are different. What are they passionate about? What are you passionate about? What do they respond to? What kinds of words do they respond to? I've had people that have told, like, I say all the time that I love being able to live in the moments. I've had people that are like, I think that's the dumbest saying. I'm like, well, that's okay. That's something that I relate to. Like, I wasn't living in the moments. I have wording, I say things that people don't relate to. That's okay. What's important to them? For me, I love being able to travel. I love being able to have those experiences. There are other people that don't think that that's important. And guess what? That's okay. We all have different things that are important to us. Why do I think that that's important? Because some of my favorite times as a child growing up were traveling with my parents. That does not make it good or bad compared to somebody else. So what's important to your person? And then post to that. And then their hopes and their goals. Do they want to be able to retire early? You know, I know that that's a hope and a goal for Jean. So guess what? That's going to be a hope and a goal for her ideal person. Because when you know who you're really posting to, do you see how this will shift every single thing that you're posting? You want to be speaking to that person in every single post. I put a picture of Joanna Gaines there. I mean, I love that woman. I love being able to go through her social media profiles. I love seeing her do it yourself projects. She's not a person that's completely unattainable, right? But I guarantee you, if you went to a 20-year-old that loves like do it yourself projects and wants to be like a homemaker and a mom, she would identify with Joanna Gaines the same way that I do and the same way that my mom does. We're not all the same age range. It's not that in posting to that person that I leave anybody out, but it's that I know who I'm posting to. So I'm not just throwing posts out there hoping that somebody snags it. And at the end of the day, I mean, I would probably be a little bit of a dork and nervous, but I feel like I could have a conversation with that woman, right? I would love to pick her brains about stuff. It wouldn't just be walking up to her and be like, oh, hey, how are you? How are the kids? And then having nothing else to talk about for 45 minutes. I really want you guys to dive into this stuff. And if it overwhelms you, I mean, how many people are feeling that right now? That you're like, I don't even know where to start with this. And I kind of think that it's a little bit crazy. It's okay. And if you don't want to admit it, that's okay. Okay, too. But this really is just taking who you are as the essence, the things that you love, the things that you like to do, and honing in on it. So that's what you're posting about. It's still posting about your life, posting about your kids. And Denise, I love that you said that. This is not something that you have to feel like you can't do lots of things. But I know, Denise, when I go to you, like you love gardening. That's something that I know that if I needed to ask questions about, I could go to you with, right? Debbie, I know that she loves camping. If I need trip tips or tricks on those things. And a lot of times when you're, and I will challenge you with this, when you're feeling overwhelmed by this, it's a lot of times because you're a 2 on the Enneagram and you don't want to leave anybody out. You're not leaving anybody out, right? Tara's like, oh, ding, ding, ding. You're not leaving anybody out in this. And I want you to do some reflection on yourself. And I want you to hear me loud and clear in this. If this overwhelms you, sometimes it's because you feel like your goals, your dreams, your passions aren't enough. And you feel like you need to be somebody else in this opportunity to make this successful. You don't. You don't have to be anybody else than who you are, what you're passionate about. You're enough in this moment and as the version of yourself that you want to be in 5 years. Because what ends up happening is when you're posting to everybody else, and I've done this, guys, the more that I grew in this, I would look to the left, I would look to the right, and I would be like, oh man, I love Rebecca Folks. I'm going to post like her. I love Emily Roberts. I'm going to post like her. Bridget Ryan. Golly, I'm going to post like that woman. Guess what? They're incredible, but I'm not them. And when we try to think about like, oh, well, this person is posting this way and they're killing it, so I want to be like that, we lose the essence of who we are. You will have people that look at your post and think, that's ridiculous. It's okay. You don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. You don't have to be. But in trying to be everybody's cup of tea, in trying to be something for everyone, we end up being nothing for no one. And that's not what we want. And that's not who you are. That's not why you're here, right? So Terry, I get it if it's a little bit weird to think about these things. What does your boutique look like? If you had your Plexus store, who would walk into it? And I don't want the answer to be everyone just because we know that everyone needs this. When that ideal client walks through the door, what would you be able to talk about far beyond Plexus? That's what this is at the end of it. And it's not something that, again, you're just going to like, I mean, you know who yourself is, I hope. But I really want you to dive into that this week and think about it. That's going to be one of our challenges for the accountability. Michelle, I love that. I do, because that means she said that she could cry thinking about it, because that's growth, right? Because then I'm hoping that this is what this means for you, that like you're really diving into who you are and coming into that passion. And that is a beautiful thing when we can do that. It gives me full body chills. Like owning who you are as a person is one of the most beautiful things that you can ever do. And I want that for every single one of you. Because when you're you, who you are at the core, who God made you to be, He didn't make a mistake on you, you will attract the people that you're meant to attract. Think about it this way, and I'll end with this so then Mina can take over. If you walk into a room and there are 500 people in there, and you have an hour, and you have a goal to attract all 500 people to you in that hour, you already know the answer to this. Are you going to make any meaningful relationships with any person? No. You'd have a second with everybody to like walk around and be like, oh, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? But if you walked in there with the intent of having 5 meaningful conversations, you're going to walk out of there knowing their name, knowing about their kids, knowing what they do for a living, what their goals are, what their hopes are. How do you want to walk out of that room at the end of the night? Saying that you talked to 500 people, or saying that you really made a difference for 5 people? You really want to make a difference for 5 people. And you get to do that. And it's scary, right, Michelle? I get it. A lot of us, and those of us that are like, man, I can't do this, I don't think that I can, it's because we have been people pleasers our entire lives. And we want to please people, right? We don't want people mad at us. We don't want to like leave anybody out. And you're not leaving anybody out. But you get to find your people in doing this. Agreed, Tara. Nobody's alone in this. All right. I will put that in. And I think that this was perfect that Mina wanted to talk about vision casting today and vision boards, because what you do for your vision board is how you attract your people, right? The things, the hopes, the dreams that you have. All right, Mina, I'm going to stop recording